Good evening. Welcome to Speaking in Your Basement. Today, I'm only going to harp a little bit about doing your daily practice. Have you done your daily practice? You should do your daily practice. You know, if I'm not live, and I don't see anybody watching me live right now, you can pause the video, do your daily practice, and then come back. Make sure you do your daily practice. Okay, that'll be enough for today. I have a story I wanted to share with you. So today, I was judging at a tournament, karate tournament. It was here in Colorado Springs, put on by Kopic's Kempo Karate. Head instructor Dave Kopic, an old friend, my instructor from years and years ago. I haven't trained in many years, but I trained for many years with him. And every now and again, I show up to catch up with all the folks. But anyway, I did some judging of a few different divisions today, and there was probably kids divisions. There was maybe 40 kids in total that I judged forms for, and then mostly the same kids, or at least some of the same kids, sparring for later. But as I was judging forms, something interesting happened. Once you get started, it's group after group after group, so you just kind of start trying to get through it and do the best job that you can. So I didn't really think about this until someone asked me. One of the kids that won came up and asked for feedback. Now it's interesting. He won. He got first place. Actually, might have gotten second place. But he was either first or second, and he asked for feedback. The whole day, only one other kid asked for feedback. It's out of 40 kids, so these two kids out of 40 asked for feedback. Now, of course, this is very inexact. We're not doing any kind of official scientific double-blind research or anything, but just consider that 2 out of 40. That'd be about 5%. And if anything, my experience outside this makes me believe the actual number of people honestly seeking feedback is even lower. It's tough to ask for feedback. You have to admit that you might be wrong, or there might be something you could do better. And you have to kind of put yourself out there for someone, because you're talking to another human being. They could be a jerk. They could be any number of things. Now, particularly people that have gone further in an area that you're also interested in. My general experience, I'm sure there are instances where they're not friendly, but usually when you're asking them for their expertise on something or their advice on something, these people are usually very friendly, at least in the places I've sought their guidance, sought their wisdom, asked them to help me with whatever I'm working on. If you absolutely don't know somebody and you're asking for help, particularly if they sell that advice, well, they may expect you to pay for it. But there's a great number of circumstances where, people that know how to cook, people that train karate, people that have learned foreign languages, people that are better at managing money in their house, any number of things that people have gotten good at. If you ask for feedback, they're oftentimes happy to help, but very few people do it. One of the great things, I'm a member of Toastmasters, have been for about 4 years now. One of the great things about Toastmasters is feedback is built right into the meetings. You're always getting feedback, and that's an invaluable thing for learning to speak more effectively. Now, you can give yourself feedback for speaking. And the cool thing about this is you don't have to wait for the club meeting. You should still get the club meeting. You should still have some other person, a third party, to give you some feedback, who can say, someone who's interested in speaking or has actually already gotten pretty good at speaking, give you some feedback when they see one of your presentations or hear a recording of you or whatever else. But you can give yourself some feedback. A lot of people don't go very far with this because there's numerous hurdles. A lot of people, when they actually hear a recording of their voice for the first time, are not used to hearing their voice the way other people hear it, and it weirds them out that everybody else has been hearing them more or less like that the entire time, Usually when you hear yourself, you're hearing through the bones in your head, because the vibrations travel faster through the bone than they do through the actual air. If you want to get a little more of your voice, there's a trick. You can kind of speak to the side and cup your ear, and you'll hear a little more of your voice. But of course, the easier trick is to just record yourself on your phone and listen to the recording. That may not be exactly, there's a lot of things that make your tone, pitch, volume, and the way people hear you vary. But what you're hearing on the recording is more like the way other people hear you than the way you typically hear yourself. So that's the first hurdle to get over. That's weird. Okay, then if you're doing a video recording, now you're going to be seeing your face and whatever expressions you're making. One, for me, I notice once I start talking, if I get a little too far into it, I start blinking a lot. And so it's this weird thing where I'm like, kind of going through the thoughts of the ideas quickly, and I start doing this rapid blinking. That was a weird thing for me to see. And of course, other people had been seeing that for a long time. So it was weird when I first saw it. But this is a very simple way for you to get feedback and just start recognizing what's already there before you even bother correcting things. And you may not have to correct these things. I didn't like my voice when I first heard it, but then I got comfortable with it and it's fine. I've done things to improve it since then, but it wasn't that my voice was so terrible it needed improving. It was just I got into speaking, so I started working on my voice and everything else I could to improve my speaking. And I noticed with the rapid blinking, I associate that as well with me getting lost in things. So I want to explore things, but I don't want to get lost in them. I don't mind doing that some on my own, but when I'm talking with other people, I want to minimize that. Maybe not eliminate it entirely, but minimize it. So trying to be a little more calm and a little more focused while I'm speaking has helped with that. But again, that didn't need to be fixed. It wasn't like people were shunning me when I wasn't aware that I was doing this rapid blinking thing. So a lot of the things you might wish you didn't see or wish you didn't hear in your voice or in your presentation may not need to be fixed. They may be fine. But be aware of them. The more aware you become, the more you can improve things. The more you can accept how things actually are, A, and B, should you want to, the more you're able to improve them. If you don't know something's happening in the first place, there's no way to say, well, how can I build on top of this? How can I improve this? How can I eliminate the stuff or reduce the stuff I don't like and increase the stuff I do like? If you're not aware, you can't do any of that. Awareness is the first principle. So seek the feedback. Get your own feedback. Get feedback from others. There's always a variety of things you can do, and just putting yourself in that mindset. We talked about this before. How can I be a little bit better next time? Just bringing that back to mind automatically puts you in the rare few who can actually genuinely improve. Again, at the tournament today, it was roughly 5% of the kids I dealt with wanted to improve and were willing to seek the guidance of someone, the feedback from someone, in this case, who knew right where to go. I was judging at a tournament. They were wanting to, do better with the judges at a tournament. I can't pass final judgment on their martial arts. That's between them and, whatever they value in martial arts. But as far as what I look for in rating people when they do tournament forms or whatever else they're trying to do in a tournament, I can give them some advice on that. And I can give them the advice to ask other instructors and see, or ask other judges at tournaments, many of whom are instructors. Ask enough folks and you start seeing the commonalities. And when you see enough commonalities, it's obvious, well, these are the areas to work on. These are what most people look for. There's a ton of things people will barely notice, but there's a few things that more people will look for in virtually any setting. So it's not that you can't improve everything. Potentially long term you can. But it makes sense to start out with, at first, those things the most people focus on the most. Start with those things. Move them forward. And sometimes you can move forward a dramatic amount with a very little effort. Sometimes it's a bit of a grind. Sometimes it's something you're going to have to keep coming back to again and again and again. And then we're back to our daily practice. If you make it a daily practice, you just get used to it. And then when there's something new you want to change up, well, you already got your daily practice going. You just switch it up somewhere in your daily practice. Tack a little bit on to the end if you have to do something extra. But whatever it is, you already have the system in place. You're just modifying it slightly. So find the feedback. Be open to the feedback. Give yourself some feedback. Actively seek feedback from others, particularly those that are directly impacting you. You know, if you're doing interviews, ask the interviewers what you could do to be a better candidate for the job. But you can also ask, to the degree you can find them, experts in the field, the ones you trust. There are always people trying to sell themselves as experts that might not be as good as you think. But the people you trust, get their feedback. Get your feedback. Again, you can do that on your own every day that you want to. But focus on the feedback. Be open to the feedback. Be willing to accept the discomfort that you're not all that you could be. But with feedback, you can become more. You can get closer and closer to what you want to be. I'm Ben Langley. Thanks for spending a little time with me today. We'll talk again soon.